No difficult question. Because I did that with Alan Martin, who used to write it with me, and we were very much sort of, straight out of college, living in rented accommodation of bedsits, and smoking a lot of weed and just staying up all night and not really, having any cares about anything, just drawing comics and mucking around. So we were in our own little bubble. It was before its time in the sense that it was just taking the piss and rude, and our main concern every month was if we could get away with using the worst swear words without being censored. That was our main thrill. I mean, it's so childish, it really is, to do. And we were lucky enough that we were doing Tank Girl for a magazine that basically said do what you want, and nobody censored us and nobody told us what to do. So we were having a laugh, really. We lived in Worthing by the sea. We never came to London. We weren't part of the scene. So when we moved up to London, we started, realising that it was, a bit bigger than we thought it was. So even today, I meet people who say, "Well, you did Tank Girl." I named my children after Booger and Subgirl, or I don't know, just had a real effect on me. I got a tattoo, and it's quite. We were potheads back then. Not anymore, but back then we were definitely. That's all we did. Sit there making bongs and drawing and being absolutely wasted. It originally started with me and Damon. We lived together for a year and we came up with this idea. But then, obviously, to pull something off like this, you have to sort of have a lot of other people who work for you. So it spreads out. There's so many people who are involved in it. So it's like a massive band, really. But it's not about any of the individuals who work on it. I mean, Damon's probably the one who gets the most sort of recognition for it, but it's not about him, and it's not about me, and it's not about anybody else. It's about the characters. Murdoch's based on Keith Richards and a baddie from early Scooby-Doo. Dark sunken eyes, and just a total bastard, basically. People say him do what he was. No, none of the characters are based on anybody. I mean, Damon does have a habit of doing things that end up being written into Murdoch's life and saying things that are quite hilarious, and then they become Murdoch sayings. But none of the characters are based on any real people. It's not about individual egos and all the sort of rivalry that you might have in a real band, if the lead singer's getting more attention than the bass player, or, it's so... I think that's why it works. And again, in the same way with Tank Girl, we have total freedom to do whatever we want, but on a much bigger scale and a much more expensive scale than when we were doing Tank Girl. There's more people to upset and there's more money to be lost if it goes wrong. We've been quite lucky because nobody interferes with what we want to do. If I want to draw a picture of 2D with his cock hanging out, then I do it, or Murdoch liking Satan. There might be some problems with some mothers, who don't want their children listening to music where the bass players are Satanists, but we do all that, and because they're cartoon characters, I think you get away with it. If they were to say anything outrageous, you'd think like, oh, wanker, But if a cartoon character says it's funny, it's funny. I think Damon's reached a point in his career where no one tells him what to do. And a record company have never really dealt with an animated band and all the stuff that goes with it. So that it's a new thing for them as well. So they don't tell me what to do because they think I know what I'm doing. There's a quote from Liam Gallagher in the press was slagging off Gorillaz and saying, oh, it's for kids, it's a fucking kids band. And I thought that was probably the coolest thing ever said about Gorillaz because I want it to be for kids, for sort of 8 to 15-year-olds. Because they're the ones who don't care who's behind it. They don't know who I am, they don't know who Damon is. They think it's Gorillaz. And so they buy into it the way they should, It's like my kids, they don't really understand that, there's real people behind it and they see it as, so on that level it works perfectly. When Clint Eastwood came out, he went in the top 5 and it was in there amongst all this sort of teeny bop crap. And yet the kids are listening to that, so they were listening to sort of music influenced by dub and reggae and hip hop and thinking it was cool. I think that it worked. And it's great if some 36-year-old comes up and says, great, love it, but I'm more concerned about the kids liking it. And as soon as you stick animation in there, they're interested. I think that's really important. I can remember buying 2000 AD and spending hours just looking at pages of artwork, thinking it's brilliant. Or, buying music and playing the same record again and again and again, you know, and that's the stuff that inspires you to want to do that when you grow older. And if you've got nothing decent to listen to, or you think that is what's decent, what's in the chart, that's music. So if you can get stuff in the chart and you can get in the top 5, you know, make it good. That's our whole philosophy for the next Gorillaz album. Kids. Danger Mouse has come in. He's nice. He's Brian. He's a really nice bloke. And so he's come in and it's all sounding good. But Damon will be finished. I think he's got to have all the songs done by December, and then we continue with all the sort of videos and the website and press shots and interviews. There's so many things I'm into that it's great if you can somehow include it, and you know, or take little sound bite. The next Gorillaz album starts with a sample from Dawn of the Dead, which is the eeriest piece of music I've ever heard ever. And, well, we're trying to clear it at the moment. Dawn of the Dead is a shopping mall. There's Night of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I just like zombie films. And that's just my obsession. My own personal obsession. I remember I bunked off school when I think I was about 11, and I watched Dawn of the Dead, which is my all-time favourite movie, around my mate's house, and it scared the shit out of me. And I think to date I've probably watched it 300 or 400 times. It really is my favourite film, and I like the whole idea that when Romero did Dawn of the Dead, it wasn't really a horror film. It was more sort of a social satire about consumerism, and you know. If I go to a shopping centre, there's zombies everywhere. I see zombies every day. People on mobile phones are zombies. It's down here in the foyer, people walk around in circles on their phones, and so you look at them, you're like, fucking zombies. And so that whole, yeah, that's why we ripped off the Michael Jackson Thriller dance in the video with the baboons and zombie hip hop, and yeah, we like monkeys and zombies and things like that. So that's where it comes from. The film, yes, the film. After the last album, because it was quite successful, everybody wanted a piece of, you know, Gorillaz. So we had like DreamWorks wanting to make the movie, and all these sort of big companies wanting to sort of, you know, be involved. And for probably best part of a year after the album came out, we were like, okay. And we had meetings with DreamWorks, and me and my friend Cass wrote the script of the Gorillaz movie, and we went along with it for quite a while until we realised that it just wasn't going to work with DreamWorks because they didn't really get it. But they wrote a rough idea for a script which we just thought was rubbish, so we pulled out. You know, I want to make Yellow Submarine meets the Great Rock and Roll Swindle. That's the Gorillaz movie to me. I think they wanted to do the Wizard of Oz meets Shrek. All these people who wanted a piece of it, we dropped everybody, and what we said is, for the next album, we'll just do it by ourselves. I'm not prepared to sort of have those arguments with people, because what makes it work is being able to do what you want. Great, yeah. Brilliant. Is that it? Yeah, that's it.